Let's get it!
Broadcasting to you from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific.
Live in the place to be.
Well, they're actually in the Bay Area.
Yeah!
But they are the premier Pacifica show that shines a spotlight on positive Pacific Islanders.
You listening to the sound.
Role models coming brown every Thursday night at 6.
East to west, we getting heard.
Brought to you by Pacifica by Design. It's the iconic Faika podcast with your hosts, Naki and Carl.
What's up, Naki?
What's up? Look at
The
that.
New intro, new night, and I'm looking forward to tonight. I am coming to you from vacation in a hotel with very bad internet, so Naki may be taking the show at some point and riding the rest of the way with you. I'll be with you as long as we can. It's season 6, episode 29 of the Faika podcast, and today we got family in the house, the Kāpasa Fetu'u family, and it's so awesome. This is one of the shows that just reminds me of why Naki and I started the show, is to find positive Pacific Islander role models and just let the world know what they're all doing out there, because we're all doing so much. So we have a lot of that today, and our check-ins are really part of the show, but that with our family today is the entire show. Naki is in the studio, and like I said, I'm in a hotel room hoping this thing will hold out. So that's our show today. Naki, what's good?
Well, I was going to say good morning because we're usually on Sundays, but welcome to our first Thursday show, Faika. New day, like Carl said, new intro. And with the pandemic over, events are back. So we're making our way back to church on Sunday, like the rest of every other PI. I'm trying to get back to church and hit all the events during the week. So thank you for tuning in this evening. We're excited to have these amazing people who are doing amazing work. The Kāpasa Fetu'u crew, who have just, they have an event coming up September 29th. We have a check-in question, and then we're going to ask them to introduce themselves, their position, and the organization that they're with. So our question is, if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, which song would you choose? And we'll start with Miss Christine Mawia.
Thank you, Sister Naki. If I had to choose, I can't choose just one song, but I will choose Bob Marley's music, and only because it takes me to a good place I love his music. So I would say Bob Marley.
Awesome. And the organization you're representing, sister?
Oh, yeah. My name is Christine Mawia, and I am the executive director for All My Usos based out of San Francisco, California. And I'm here with our group, our Pacifica United group. Thank you for having me.
Yay. Awesome. Danny boy.
Hey everybody, I'm Danny Boy Nahavevalu with the Samoan Community Development Center. I oversee the Pacific Islander Collaborative, newly named Pacifica Urban Roots, or like we like to say, Big Purr.
Big Purr.
And a song, if I can only listen to one song, I guess right now, the season I'm in, it would be Cozy by Beyonce, because it's just a very affirming song. And at the beginning of the song, too, it says, "This is a reminder." So you kind of always need that reminder every now and then. Yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And let's go to Mama Sil.
Hey, everybody. Sylvia Sellinger Tawala, or Mama Sil. I'm with Fautasi Youth Services. I'm the Chief of Operations, which basically means I do everything. And a song that I would probably listen to over and over again is Shackles by Mary Mary. It just always puts me in a really good place. No matter what's going on, if I listen to that song, it always brings me back to some positive. So thanks for having us.
Hey, I love that song. Thank you, sister. Let's go to Tone.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I'm trying to share on social media what we're going on. My name is Tone. I'm a mental health clinician with the Samoan Wellness Initiative at the Samoan Community Development Center. And, I just refuse to answer this question. I can't think of one song that I would want to listen to forever. But, okay, if I had to choose, it'd probably be some like instrumental. so that I could recreate my own songs over and over and write stuff
Okay.
over it, something like that. So,
Nice.
mhm.
Nice. I love it. How about Tupo?
Hello, my name is Tupola Tukefu. I am the program coordinator at SCDC for the newly named Pacifica Urban Roots Pacific Islander Collaborative. And shoot, this was a really hard one. But if I had to pick one, the song would probably be Radna's rendition of Betcha by Golly Wow by the Stylistics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that one. Thank you. Karina, the newly married Karina Ortiz. She's on mute. Uh-oh, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes, we can hear you.
One song is very hard, but I would pick reggae. I love reggae, old, new. And my position is I am program coordinator of Alumni, our academic-based program for our middle school and high schoolers at SCDC.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Carl, what do you got?
I laughed when Cree was first and she's like, nah, I ain't playing that. I'm not picking one song. You can't fit me in that box. Strong personalities in the place. In the spirit of trying to pick one song, there's a song by Tim McGraw called Live Like You Were Dying. And it talks about, my waste no minutes mantra of just, trying to do all the things you want to do in life, to have some affirmations from God, being a family, good person, all that kind of stuff. So if I had to, and wasn't strong like Cree to say, no, I'm picking maybe an entire body of work, I'd pick that one song. But I like also what Tone talked about of like, I'd do an instrumental so I could make up my own lyrics or, kind of create my own song. So love all the input. How about you, Neki?
Me, I've been singing this to work when I'm like at the top of my lungs, like I'm having my own concert in the car. Is Her As I Am. I am glued to that song just because it's positive for me. And I like if you roll up to me on the side of the freeway, I'm in concert. So, and then I have it on repeat. So that gets me started in the morning. So that's my go-to song. So thank you everyone for answering our question. So let's get into it because there's a big event happening this month on the 29th at SCDC. And so let's start from the beginning. And we'll go with Danny or Tupo. How did this become what we now know as Kāpasa Fetu'u? And I hope I'm saying that right.
You get an A for effort, Auntie. Especially last week was Tongan Language Week, so
yes,
there's a lot of grace going around. It sounds beautiful. Yes, so Kāpasa Fetu'u, it was actually a name that was given to us by an elder in the community. Her name is Leafa Tamoipe'au, and she's a pillar in community work in San Mateo County, and her work doesn't stop there. She's done a lot of work in partnership with San Francisco, with Alameda County, and has even done a lot of advocacy work over in DC. This came about when Tupo and I were trying to strategize around how we can do our work, right? This collaborative is a new initiative that was brought to the table by folks that came before us. A lot of the folks here at the table have been at that collaborative table since the beginning. And so we were thinking about how do we do our work? And oftentimes in community work, the best practice is to reach out to the community, right? And see what it is that they need and not what we think they need. But also data is something that is, it's not sexy. It's not of a lot of interest to a lot of us, even though we don't realize that we are actually dealing with a lot of data day in and day out. And so in doing this, we wanted to sort of conduct a community needs assessment to inform our work, right? what are the needs of our community? How can we provide those services? Instead of us just thinking like, okay, well, I know they need this, I know they need that, right? It's really input from the community. None of us have really done a needs assessment. And so we reached out to some folks who have a wealth of experience with data, folks from the UCLA NHPI Data Policy Lab. We reached out to some of our folks who are professors to really come in and work with us, train us on how to do what is now, Kāpasa Fetu'u, a research project focusing on or like doing a needs assessment. The hope with that is that we would be able to utilize that for our work individually, but that also other folks in the community would be able to utilize that as well. Not just community folks, but institutions like the government, the city, SFUSD, institutions like elementary school, middle school, high school, all the schools, right? Like just really hear what the needs are of our Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander youth, because they often go unrecognized. So that's just a little bit. I don't know if I missed anything, Paul, if you want to interject.
Yeah. So Kāpasa Fetu'u literally translated means star compass. And so it was aligned perfectly with what we're aiming to do here, right? Like trying to find the needs, looking to our community and the youth as the stars, especially thinking about like our ancestors. And, historically our ancestors were navigators of the seas. So yeah, this is like really crazy to be on here with you guys and talking about this needs assessment, because it's been a long time coming. We've put a lot of effort, a lot of brain power, hard work, sweat, tears, to now this. Yeah, I'm just at a loss for words.
It's awesome to see. I can't wait for the results of all the data that you guys collected. And we know that data is everything, but can you explain the importance of data? Anyone? Don't all fight to answer now.
Well, I think, collecting the data from who it affects, them telling us their stories and us doing it not just on what we feel or what we think, but what we know, because now we can actually look at what took place through all this collection of data and say, okay, these are the things that they need help on. So, I think that's the whole purpose of the needs assessment, was to get it from the horse's mouth. The youth are calling, they're saying this is what they need. So we're going to try to work on doing what they need instead of what we think.
That's awesome. I think you're right. I mean, data is everything, right? In order for us, unfortunately, to be seen, to be heard, that's what we need. Particularly documenting data for the NHPI youth in San Francisco is a big, huge thing. Has it never been done, or why now? Why are we doing this now? And anyone? Well, yeah. Karina?
So this is actually our very first one that SCDC has done. And it has been on one of our goals for a very long time. Why now is that we actually have this collaborative that all of us could work together and get it started. As you know, SCDC has been building up our numbers. So now we actually have the power and capacity to do this data work. So thankfully, we are able to do it this year. We have so many people on the team that not only that here on today with us, but also other people in the background that couldn't make it, that have been doing the work, all the surveys, going to the schools. They can't make it today, but we see you. Thank you for all your help, all the ones that volunteer as well. It takes a lot of us, and also a lot of knowledge as well. We did a lot of workshops to understand how data works and how to do it. like our professors. They're not on here, but thank you, Sarah, Lassie. And having people in those spaces and have those knowledge is also something that we needed and didn't have. But this year, I feel like it was perfectly planned as our first one, and hopefully we continue the same thing in years to come.
That's
I think
perfect. Sorry. Go ahead, Carl.
Go ahead, Danny.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say thank you, Karina, for also bringing in folks who are a part of the group from the beginning. This group, believe it or not, was a lot larger. There was a huge interest from a lot of the young staff at SCDC who were instrumental in this assessment being able to take place. So I definitely want to call in all those who have been a part of this from the gate, like Ado, Annie, Joshan, help me out, y'all. Tina was even there. Vonnie was there a little bit in the beginning. Sonia, Sam, Soma, like so many people. And of course, it's been a long process, right? Like this started like last year, where we just were having these initial conversations, right? It's not just something that we jumped into. It was like brick by brick, we laid the foundation so that we could make sure that at least everybody on board wants to do this. Even from like the beginning stages of having conversations with Sarah and Lassie. Shout out to Sarah and Lassie for just, imparting their wisdom to us on how to do projects like this. And so I really appreciate you, Karina, bringing them into this space and seeing them as well. But the time is, the time is now, the time has been, ready for us. I think it's just having opportunity to do so. Shout out to not only SCDC and all of our partners here, AMU, Fatasi, and all the folks who were a part of the collaborative, but also like shout out to DCYF for investing in us to be able to do something like this, right? This research project is very specific. It's a community-based participatory research project, also known as CBPR, where it's it's conducted with the community, and not like just it's like with them, for them, all of the above. Because oftentimes research is done, on our communities, on urban communities, on impoverished communities and disenfranchised ones, where folks come in from these institutions, collect their data, and then go back to their institutions. And, the communities never, I'm not going to say never, but oftentimes don't see the results or the impact of that research being done. And there's a power in all of us here and those who can't be here to take initiative to be able to do something like this and put the power in our hands, in the community's hands, to say like, this is what we need. This is what we're looking for, and how can we all work together to make it happen? Sorry. Thank you.
I was going to say that I think that one of the things the Pacific Islander community learned during COVID was how important data was, because as those numbers started coming in, we were looking at that going, now our numbers are way worse, but there was no real way to substantiate that until they started to disaggregate the data. But looking at the process and looking at the faces of the people that are gathering the data, Naki and I have sat on boards, interviews for grants where they didn't have any data on Pacific Islanders. And, it's the people, the groups like DCYF allowing us to go out there and fund us to get the data. Because it's kind of like, how do you get the data if you don't have the support to go do it? So big shout out to DCYF for supporting the Pacific Islanders' effort to gather their own data and write their own story rather than relying on other groups and other organizations to do it. So to see the faces that are here today, and you're the ones that are gathering the data and getting the needs assessment done, it makes me feel good, because I'll throw this one to Tone. I think that historically our community has been time with the census. We have a hard time getting people to the polls to vote, just getting involved in the normal, processes that other groups are already involved in has been, a journey. And I know that Tone's in mental health, and he's seen that same thing of like, how do we get people engaged and are able to talk about it? Is there, from Tone, from your perspective, and also like to hear from anybody else, gathering data, was the process, did you feel like people were still hesitant even to talk to their own people, because you're not a white person going in there and asking these questions, you're a member of the community asking the questions? Was there still hesitancy to get involved and give the data and give the information that you need in the needs assessment to help the community? So maybe I'll start with Tom, because I know that he's had to kind of walk these waters with the mental health side.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carla. I mean, I would say that we, as Karina mentioned, we did the workshops leading up to the outreach portion. And I think what was kind of pivotal in the outreach and getting folks on board are the relationships that people have, right? And so when we think about, we separated into like people that would engage the youth, people that would engage the parents, and then people that would engage the community leaders, right? And so then when we think about Mama Sil and Cree, right, who were on the parents group, right, they knew so many parents to reach out to. And when after that first week of doing outreach, and they came back and they had like their numbers that all the parents they talked to, like 30, 40 parents, like just like that. That's off the strength of relationship, right? And so we're relationship-based people, and so that's where I think it works the same way with mental health. You cannot build a relationship. You can't talk to anybody about anything unless there's a relationship established, right? And so we all, in some way or form, work in community and have established relationships with the community in different ways. And so all of the people that were part of Kāpasa Fetu'u that worked with the youth, right? They obviously went the direction of the youth that are in the schools, right? And they went and they did it. They talked about, well, first we had to get grounded in what Kāpasa Fetu'u was for us, right? And then get comfortable with what it means to do a community needs assessment, and then go out there. We actually practice too with each other, like how we would, what's our elevator pitch, how we would talk to a youth, how we would talk to an elder, how we would talk to a community leader. We practiced and role played with each other, and then we all went out there and talked to those people that we have relationships with in order to engage them. But that's just one aspect of it. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on the engagement process and what that was like for us.
I just remember the youth, when you first approach them as like not only a member of the community, but also like as someone who's coming to survey them and interview them, they were very reserved. It was, because also for myself, I always make it clear I'm not from the city. I never grew up in the city, but I married someone from the city. The city has a special place in my heart, so this work means a lot, and I tried my best to convey that. And as the telenovela went on, then you could see the walls come down, but it only makes sense that like they feel reserved in those first moments of contact, because our kids they're not exposed to research at this level, right? Then no one ever goes to them and asks them what it is that they need, what it is that they want, what it is that they want to see happen for them, for their peers, for their siblings and their families and all that. And I think that's one of the points about like our event, that we're having to present the data. The important part of the event for me, myself, that the youth get celebrated, that they get celebrated. We could have just done like this boring data presentation where people come in, they sit down, we have a meeting, and we hand out the reports, and then they go home or whatever. But it's such an accomplishment for them to have taken that step to engage with us, because we made our intentions clear. Hopefully they felt our what's that, they felt us like trying to go live right with them,
Mhm.
as community members, as community servants. We want to celebrate that because this is for a lot of them some of their first times engaging with or civic engagement, civic engagement. So hopefully like they can carry that with them throughout the rest of their life. Uncle Carl just mentioned like people not signing up to vote and all of that. Like I think it's because of the way that they see themselves, and the way that they value their voices and their opinions, and that's what we tried to do, is to elevate all of that. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, that's awesome. Cree, what is your take on that?
Yeah, for me, it came natural. I relied heavily on my relationships in the community. I'm from San Francisco, grew up in San Francisco, married a San Francisco native, raised my kids in San Francisco. So I do have a lot of relationships in San Francisco and in these communities that we surveyed. So a lot of them were not they weren't reserved. Even the families that I didn't know that I did interview. They knew of me or they knew my husband. So we just had conversations and we documented those conversations. And it was easier than I thought. At first, I thought it was going to be, we get this paper and they fill out these 10 questions and that was it. But I really enjoyed being a part of this process because I got to visit these families and have conversations with them. And I know that a lot of their stories and a lot of their background needed to be heard. So for me, they weren't reserved. But that was just because I relied heavily on my relationships in these communities. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Mama Sil?
I thought some of the interviews that were done were therapeutic for them, therapeutic for me. Hearing their stories and listening to their struggles, and then really like honing in on, okay, trying to even connect them, like, oh, maybe you need this service, you need that service, and trying to get them some kind of immediate services sometimes was great because SCDC has so many things that are available that people just didn't know about. Like they didn't know that Tone was there and that they could call him and make an appointment and, get some and work with someone immediately, instantly. So that was one of the things. The other thing is us doing the research and us working with Sarah and Lossie. We learned early on a majority of the interviews needed to come from the youth because it's their story. So there's, we as parents, we have our story of what our kids need, but our kids have a different story of what they need. So that was also very important. And it was a big piece of what we did is make sure that all of the information isn't 100% coming from the parents or even the community leaders, but a majority of the information we got back was from the youth. So that was great.
And
That's
Naki,
awesome. Mm-hmm.
I did want to add too, I think it would have been a different outcome if strangers came and did these interviews. But because it was
100%.
our community, in the community, by the community, it was a different conversation, definitely.
100%. I believe that's true that the families in San Francisco seeing, the community and getting the questions from people that look like them. I think it's if they were reserved a little bit, not knowing, but having the conversation and knowing that Tone is there and knowing that D-Boy and Tupo and Karina are there at SCDC resources. I think that makes a huge difference that it's us surveying them. What do you think, Karina?
For us, we go into the middle school and high school and at school program as well at SCDC. So the kids, explaining to them why data was so important as best as I can to them and how that makes sense in where they're at and their age. It was a little difficult, but we just shared with them we had to think of the bigger picture. What about your next siblings or younger family members that's going to come after you, or what you wish that you have right now? And then that is why we're doing this. They're like, okay. I'll do the questions. I'll do the survey. All right, okay, try to sign up for the Talanoa at the end. Then when they like, oh, I forgot, what is the Talanoa again? What we're talking about? So checking with them, oh, I'm not gonna interview you. I'm kind of busy right now, but this is who's gonna do it. It's gonna be Tupo. It's gonna be this. Like they're good people. Just like I said, just answer the question as best you can. Just be very honest with them. It's the same thing that we talked about earlier. Just tell them what you want and how you want to see the future to look like. That was the only prep that I did for the kids is, share. We want to hear your answers from you. And then if you can't answer at the moment, always just hit us back up. Like, oh, I wish I said this and this. Just let us know. Most of them, have my number or some of our numbers here. And it was very different. It was very uncomfortable for them because no one ever asked them these questions before, especially in these settings or an adult. Like, what do you want to do? Like, oh, I never thought about it. Well, what program do you want to participate? Oh, well, we have this, but how can we make it better? Like, oh, I love it already. I know you love it, but what else? I want it more. I want you to absolutely love it. Make even bigger, better. So that's what how I prepped the kids, how I checked in with them, how they like this process. It was challenging for them, but they're glad they did it. And many of them can't wait to see what, other peers have said also.
Thank you, Karina. I love that we're explaining it to them at such a young age so that they can understand how important data is. I think that the not knowing and even explaining it to the parents for them to understand how important it is so that they know when it comes to our community that they're like, okay, I get it. Let's fill it out. Or the next, survey that comes around, they'll be willing to answer any question because they know it's for them. Anything that you found, well, we're not going to talk about the results. And I'm so excited for September 29th for everyone to hear about everything. Was there any, I don't know, how do you say it? Anything that might have deterred you guys from completing this and then, how you overcame it? And if there was none, that's awesome.
I mean, I did some interviews and I would leave the interview and go sit in my car and cry. Like, it got intense. But being that was the interviews that you were doing, I think that pushed us into doing it more. And you would think that, being a researcher, you're just going to go in, collect data and you can't take your feelings out of it. Your feelings are going to be there. So we actually had talked to Lassia and Sarah and Tupo and Danny, and we all kind of had this session where we talked about, it's okay to have your, it's okay to feel the way that you feel.
Yeah.
And just letting others know, like, hey, this is what happened to me. This might happen to you, and just having each of the people on this panel be someone you can go to and talk to. Not feel judged or, like, she's so, she's this, or she's too sensitive. No, it was, some real stuff that we learned. And yeah, it was great to have the support. So.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on Sylvia's comment. I didn't anticipate that part of the process, the emotional part of the process. I thought we were going to go into the homes and just kind of answer these questions and get out of there and go home. But then each interview, I carried something back with me. And I didn't anticipate that. And after the first few interviews, and I had to call back, to home base, Sarah and Lassie and Danny Boy and Tupo, and like, hey, like, this is not something that we thought of, or I thought about. And let's kind of, regroup, and can we get them some counseling? Can we get some referrals? Can we get some different things? And I don't think having someone from the outside would have got that reaction, or maybe they wouldn't relate to it like we did. It was personal for me. I grew up in these neighborhoods. My kids grew up in these neighborhoods. So I guess it was more personal, maybe. I don't know, but I just didn't anticipate that. I thought, we're going to Zoom through this, get it done. but it was more than just an interview. It was emotional, and it was a lot to. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from it, and I'm so glad that I was a part of this process.
I love that you guys took more than just it was personal, but I think because it's our own community, if they need something, we'll go out of our way or try to help them even more. If it was an outsider, they would have just collected the data and left. What do you think, D-Boy? Same thing?
I would think that if as an outsider, they wouldn't even get to the levels of the questions and the information that these researchers were able to get in. And I say researchers because it gives me a sense of pride to look on my screen and see brown faces that are doing research work and that are gathering data that other groups can't. Naki and I have had people literally come to us and say, we can't reach the PI community. How do we do it? And we're like, elders, they're your church, community events. And those aren't things that outsiders are going to be able to get into. So it doesn't surprise me that we might think that it's kind of clinical when you're starting in and you have goals and you have like, I'm going to get this many done this day and I'm going to get in and I'm going to get out. But it also doesn't surprise me that once you get in there and you start having the conversations, that all of a sudden you become a community member as well as a researcher, and they start sharing heartfelt things. So, I do want to talk about the event that's coming up on the 29th. But before we do, without giving out, the information, because that's really that's a very Pacific Islander thing to do, is go back and present the findings and break food and share that space with the group that you got the information from. But, without giving out the specific data, were there surprises? And I get there's emotional ones that you experience while you're having those conversations, but were there surprises as you went through the process that, and we talked about the emotional part, but were there other ones that anybody found in this process of going out there and sitting down face to face with our community and getting information from them? I'll start with D-Boy, because the one thing Naki and I learned is you have a room full of Pacific Islanders. If you throw a question out, everybody's going to be polite and nobody's going to speak first. So it makes more sense to just call out a name and ease the awkward silence. So let's start with D-Boy. Was there any learnings that you came out of much the same way that Cree and Mama Sil were talking about the emotional piece of it? Were there other things that were surprising to you during the process?
Man, I mean, there was just there still is a whole bunch of lessons that I'm learning, that I have learned from the process. I think I'm also reminded of a lot of things in terms of like, this is why we do the work that we do. This is why it's important to be intentional about how we do our work. This is why it's important to invest in our community, in our people, right, to do this work, because it is going to be hard for outsiders to access our community. Again, back to what Tone was saying about the relationships are important. I mean, Cree was like a prime example of just like how she was able to go out there, hit up her folks, like she had a mission and she was gonna complete it. And I think part of what she was talking about in her learnings about, like, she didn't realize how much of an impact it would have on her, is because I think there was such a repetitiveness, right, of like sitting with folks, asking them these, maybe 6 to 7 questions that we really just be chopping it up about all kind of stuff that, like, it's just a reminder of how important it is to include the community who is often exploited or forgotten. And I'm really appreciative of that. Personally, for me, I think the whole process, because as one of the folks who is, like, in a sense, spearheading this, right? Like, it's never about just me, right? We always try to make sure that we're all working alongside each other and that we all got the same, like, we all got the same mission. We're all going to go out there. We're going to do our thing. And it's just so, it like really fills my cup that our group, even when it was bigger to where we are now, we've gone the distance, you know what I mean? And we've persevered and we've pushed through. There were some hangups along the way. I think even like there were some folks who were like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do these interviews anymore, right? Like, this is too much. I'm going to pull out. And we had folks had conversations with those folks to bring them back in, because the reason why this has been so successful is like all of the people who are on the screen and all of the people who have been a part of this, all of the people who have made it happen. So there's so much. I think I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but like the overall thing I think that I've learned is we are resilient, and we have opportunities to dream big, think big for our community, and give them something new, right? Something different than what has been available, because just as culture and time, right, everything evolves. And so the work that we do has to evolve. Our mission, our vision has to evolve. A needs assessment, they say like it's good for about 3 to 5 years, and then you want to do another one to just see if they're the same or they're different. And the one last thing before I pass the mic is just that we were very intentional in this process of like not doing research in a formal kind of way, right? It was really around this idea of like decolonizing the way that research is done, from even the methods that we chose, right? They're Pacific Islander based. And so, yeah, there's been a wealth of knowledge, and I'm really appreciative to have been a part of this process.
Thank you, D-Boy. And a reminder, the show is called FICA. So tangents, we do tangents. We do tangents really well. If we go off, that's what the show is based on. Karina, how about you? Was there anything that in this whole process of being a researcher and having the conversations with the community, were there anything that surprised you, or anything that you want to add to what's already been said?
Yeah. I didn't get to do the interviews, but I did get to look through the transcripts of the interviews, and many of the things didn't surprise me, but now we have proof of it on paper. Like some things that we never talk about, they did come up, and how often those are talked about or not talked about. Now we have proof and why. So now it's not just us giving our opinion or our experience, but many of our experience all together on a paper that we can show others, and why we need programs to talk about those topics that are not talked about. I don't want to, give clues, but you'll see on that day and see what I'm trying to explain right now.
Appreciate that. And let's talk about the day for a second. It's a Pacific Islander event put on by Pacific Islanders for a Pacific Islander audience. So I'm assuming we can expect like 100 PowerPoint slides, a whole bunch of data graphs, a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. Let's talk about what the community can expect on that night, and where it's at. I know where it's at. We all know where it's at. But if viewers don't know where it's at and when it is and what they can expect, let's dive into that. So the actual event itself, where, as Sister Patsy Tito says, our future researchers are going to present their findings to the community. Let's start with D-Boy. What can the community expect that night?
The community can expect to uplift the youth. Like Tupo said earlier, we really wanted to center the youth as they are the center of our assessment. But folks can look forward to being in community, eating some really good food, tapping into a really cool presentation. We're going to have some dope MCs in the building. Shout out to our MCs, Atinaki and Carl. A really cool presentation, some dope performances. We're going to have Hi Guy Lai in the building. We're also going to have Tracy Williams, who's an artist out of Oakland. She's a Tongan sister. And then we're going to have some really cool raffle prizes, a lot for the youth, but we haven't forgotten about the adults. There's going to be some cool prizes for the adults as well. So yeah, it's going to be a fun-filled, community night over at the center, SCDC 2055 Sunnydale. Starts at 6 p.m. So the doors open at 5:30. Make sure you tap in, and we will make sure that we put the link so that y'all can register. I know our people don't register, but we're gonna defy stereotypes, okay? Because we was all early for this.
Yes.
Today.
I was like,
Yes.
who are these people?
And me, you know me, I'm always late.
I know. Me too.
Please register.
Awesome.
Let's bounce it over to all my Usos, Sister Cree. What are you looking forward to that night?
So it's going to be about 25% business and 75% party.
Yay, we like that.
So expect to come out and have a good time, a good fellowship with good people. Please register. I think this is it's going to be a special night. It's going to be a special night because not only have we never done this before, but it's different when us people who look like them went out into the community to get these surveys. So everybody that comes out is going to have a good time. So just come on out.
Awesome. Tone, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to just sharing. The whole thing. It's going to be really, I want to use some curse words to describe it, but it's going to be really, I'm really, I'm really excited to present the data in this way too.
Yeah. I love that you guys are making it fun. The presentation is going to be fun so that people know that, they understand what it is at first, and they're going to realize, oh yeah, I let's do it. You know what I mean? Present it in a different way so that it's special for our community and make it fun. I love that. 75% party, 25% presentation. Tupo, what about you?
Oh shoot, I think I'm looking forward to seeing the kids' faces when they see the raffle.
Oh no!
I mean, yes, the data, but the raffle. The raffle was definitely meant for them, kept them in mind. But then also the food. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna love the food. We're getting catered. We're getting it catered by folks. That's not a secret, right? Okay, yeah, right. We're getting our food catered by they're called Sekia. Sekia, yeah. They're really, really good Samoan food. Oh my gosh. I'm like getting hungry talking about it.
I'm getting hungry, but I'm hungry all the time. Anything before we let you guys go, one word to describe what we're going to be, how you're going to be feeling or how you're feeling with this great event that you guys have coming up September 29, folks. We will, of course, post the flyer, and you should RSVP, and we're going to post the link. Everyone here is going to post the link on their social media, but we will start with Corina.
Go back on mute.
Oh.
We can come back. Oh, there you
go. Go ahead. We can hear you now.
Oh, well, sorry. Can you say that again? The mute button.
Yeah, just a word. How you're feeling about the event September 29th? Excited. Yeah. Bo.
Damn.
Damn.
Single word. One
That's
single
word.
I feel I'm feeling accomplished.
Yes, I love that. Sylvia. Still.
Blessed.
Yes.
Just to be part of the process.
Yeah, Christine.
Love. It's going to be a whole lot of love in that day.
Oh. Town.
Excited.
Yes, definitely. And Deep Boy.
Mafana.
Mafana. I love that. What does that mean?
Warm.
Ah, nice. Did you just learn that last week?
Nah, I know that one.
Oh, you're good. You're good. And Patsy says validated.
Yes.
I love that.
And as Patsy also, her motto is the sky is blue. And the sky show is blue with all of just everything that's been going down. So just want to give her a shout out too. Thank you for your leadership. Fatonui, we love you and appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patsy. I truly believe without her and her leading this entire village, if this would not have been possible. So thank you so much, Patsy. On behalf of myself and all my Usos and the entire community, we love you, Patsy.
Yes.
Just another big piece of the foundation that Patsy continues to lay.
Yep.
There's so many different pieces that the foundation has that she's put down. But before Naki takes us out, we had put in our new intro, we had put in role models coming brown, because that's one of the things that Naki likes to say. And somewhere you guys have talked to a researcher, a young researcher that, people like doing research and people like seeing that it can be done in joint with community work, right? It doesn't have to be clinical data spreadsheets, those kind of things. So there are going to be people that see this that say, hey, that's a mental health worker. Hey, that's a community worker. Hey, those are researchers. And there may be people that end up doing what y'all are doing because you're making it look different. And it'll look different than what you would think a data presentation will take place on the 29th. Naki and I are excited to have been asked, but also nervous because it is the community, right? So we want to make sure that it comes off right and that, that we represent well. So it was an honor to be asked to present that evening, and we are going to do that, but we look forward to everything, all the fun. If you've been to any of the events at SCDC and seen the kind of events that go on there, Cree says it very well. It's a small percent business and a whole big percentage of party and community. The food's going to be good, because if the food's not good at a PI event, you get talked about. So the food will be awesome.
True.
We look forward to it. So Naki, take us home.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. September 29th. If you are in the Bay Area, please show up, register, 6 p.m., 2055 Sunnydale Avenue in San Francisco. You have any questions, please reach out to these amazing people here. All my Usos, Faltasi, SCDC, SWE. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate the work that you guys have been doing these last couple of years, getting this information that is much needed. We will see you next Thursday as our new time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time. Thank you, SCDC, and all of you for the amazing work that you're doing. Come back to FICO with us.
Love you all.